Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. I'm so excited to be here today, but I don't, every single time I hit the click live, go live, I get so nervous and I don't know why. You would think I would get used to doing this, but I don't. Good morning. Gigi, Sarah in Baltimore, Most High's favorite, Jessica, good morning. So, how is everyone doing? Gigi from Baltimore and Sarah from Baltimore, you two should connect. I think everyone needs to come together. Good morning, Doug. Gosh, what a week. So much has gone on. I don't even know where to start. So, I have our questions for the week. Starting next week, we're shifting to Fridays. So we'll be doing Friday morning at 7 a.m. on the West Coast, 7 a.m. Pacific time. I hope you guys can all still join me. I love seeing all of the regular faces and names. And yeah, let's see. Jessica says hard times right now. There's so much going on, not just for me, for everybody. And the elections, it's just, hi, Deanna in Minnesota. The elections, the division in our world right now, a pandemic. And on top of that, everyone's fighting to protect their kids. So I don't know how much I'm not even going to invite anything else in. So let's just say, yeah, a lot. So good morning, Kina. And so big announcement. I know some of you already know, but so first I'm going to start with the backstory. My dad, for those of you who know, was diagnosed with lung cancer. And he lives in Tennessee. I'm in California. My dad raised me. And so I have a need to get out there, but I have a life-threatening autoimmune disease. So traveling is not easy. So the way my brain works, it is, I am, I have a gift of taking lemons and making lemonade, plus an entrepreneurial idea kind of mindset. And so I'm always looking for solutions. And so back in January, February of this year, I had started planning a family court awareness day. And the goal was we had figured out a march route. Dr. Romani was going to come up and speak. I was pulling together an amazing event. And then COVID hit. So, good morning, Tia. So we had to shift course. And then I am, sitting there going, how do I pull off a trip across country during a pandemic with my health issues safely? And then we decided we're going to secure an RV, which we did. And then the wheels really started turning. How do I take my mission with me on the road? And so, for those of you who already know, our RV will be adorned with Family Court Awareness Month logos. And we're going to have a handprint. I already had it created with the number 758 under it. And that is to represent the 758, I believe that's the number, children who have been murdered since 2008. It's way too many. And the really hard part was I had to have my graphic designer create a sheet of numbers in case I need to change that number as we're on the road. And that's just unacceptable to me, but it is very much our reality. So Here's the thing. I've created a website. It's familycourtawarenessmonth.com. I ask you all to go on there, share your story. I'm going to be taking, I have shared my story publicly, but I need you to share yours. You don't have to do it with your name attached. I'll know who you are when you send it, but no one else has to know that. You can do it anonymously. And we're going to have a bunch of stops along the way. We are going to alert media. But I should finish telling you about the story. Submit your story, hashtag #myfamilycourtstory. And you can submit it right on our website, familycourtawarenessmonth.com. Or you can meet me on the journey across the country and back at any of our locations, which I will give you it's kind of rough right now, but I think we've pretty much got it locked in where we will be. And it's a little bit different than what I shared on Facebook Live. I will say, I wish I could give every single person a hug in person. If you have a mask on, I am happy to give you an elbow bump, and I'm really looking to each and every one of you to make this huge. The reality is, the media will not touch family court stories. They will not. So many people email me and say, this is what's going on. I want to go to the media. And I have a lot of friends in the media who say, we actually have policies in place where we are prohibited from covering these stories. There's a liability for them. There's a lot of he said, she said. I know when a reporter had to go through my case, it took him four, I believe, full days at the courthouse to show that I was telling the truth. And so, there's a lot of those things that come into play. They won't cover these stories unless a child has been murdered. And so this is an opportunity for us to get this issue in the spotlight. And you can do it safely without, speaking poorly about the other person. You can change your profile picture for the whole month of November. We'll have these available on the Family Court website, familycourtawareness.com, familycourtawarenessmonth.com. We're going to have a full kit to download within the next week, so stay tuned. You can use this as your Facebook header. Change your profile picture, reach out to your DV advocacies in the area. One of the tie-ins that I am really hoping to create, and one of my goals is to, at every stop that I make, I want to, in advance, I hired a PR person to help me do this because I believe so strongly that we have an opportunity that has never existed before. Not a disgruntled parent who doesn't like the other parent, all of those things that they try to portray us as. We have an opportunity to shine a light on a very dark issue. And so my goal is to invite domestic violence agencies and advocates to each meeting stop. I bought a torch, like a mock, what do you call it? Like a prop torch. And because October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month and November is Family Court Awareness Month now, as of 2020, I would love for them to come and pass the torch from one month to the other, because the reality is we are misled. When we leave these abusive relationships, we're told that we're doing the right thing, we're making the right decision, and I firmly believe that we are. However, we are not prepared for the next avenue of abuse that we are thrust into, which is post-separation abuse, which is the family court system in general. And so I believe so strongly that we have an incredible opportunity to educate the media on post-separation abuse, on the reality that the family court system is, you know, a ground for these people to continue their reign of terror, to continue their abuse, and that the court system is being used as a tool to do that, to hurt us. The court system is supposed to be there to act in the best interest of the child, and they are not, but people don't know that. So please, even if I'm not coming to your city, I invite you to get involved. This is your time to, contact your DV shelter, contact your local media, send them our website. We're actually working on a toolkit which will have a PR, a press release, talking points for you, our logos, other tools that you can use. And I encourage you, schedule a candlelight vigil in your community, in November, and to honor the 758 children who have been murdered in this system. It takes a village, and I invite all of you to get involved, to participate. And I just ordered flash drives this morning with the Family Court Awareness Month logo. And my goal is to put the entire press kit, images, facts, the Santa Clara University study, some of Joan Meyer's research, all on this flash drive, and give them to media as we are making this trek from the West Coast to the East Coast. And I have to give a shout out to Glenn, my amazing husband, because his brain does not work the way mine does. We are a good balance. He's kind of the one that balances me out. And I'm like a million miles an hour running off of coffee and trying to pull all of this together in 3 weeks. So Glenn has pulled together our itinerary. So here is where I will be, or we will be, my whole family. We're all traveling together. My daughters are 13 and 15. They're online school right now. So it's an opportunity. We're going to do this as a family because, and one of the things that I've talked to my daughters about this week is, you guys are safe. You've had peace for a long time in your life, but so many others, the majority of others, do not have the peace that we have, and we can never take that for granted. And so we're doing this as a family mission. So 11/1, November 1st, we're going to kick off this month in Los Angeles. We'll be down, I'm still looking for kind of a location where we can park a huge RV and, be safe outside. That kind of goes with every single stop on here, where we can safely social distance, safely gather and keep space, and get press on this issue. So Burbank area, late afternoon, we're thinking probably 4 o'clock, 4:30. November 3rd, we'll be in Albuquerque, New Mexico at about 4 o'clock. I'm looking for a meeting location there as well. If you have any ideas for safe meeting locations for any of these places, please email me. Don't send messages to the Facebook page because our volunteers are already overwhelmed. But my email address, tina@onemomsbattle.com, is the best way to reach me. And if you're in any of these areas and you have connections, DV agencies, media, reach out to me, because I'm going to need a huge village to come together and help me pull this off. And I've started a private group of movers and shakers for each area who will come together and help. So, whew, 11/6, we will be in Little Rock, Arkansas in the morning. It'll probably be around 9:30 a.m. November 9th, we will be in Atlanta, Georgia at around 3:30 p.m. These are my target meeting points. 11/10, we will be in Charleston, South Carolina. I'm guessing that's going to be late afternoon, probably around 4 o'clock. 11/11 will be in Raleigh, North Carolina. Again, late afternoon, probably the 4 o'clock or so range. 11/13, we will be in Nashville, and that's probably going to be around noon. And then our last public media, survivor gathering stop will be in Amarillo, Texas on November 16th around 9:30 a.m. So I hope you will join me. I hope you will come out and elbow bump and bring, if you write your story out, I am bringing a box with me, and I'm going to collect all of the stories as we go across the country that, write on them. If you don't want it shared publicly, make sure you let me know. Otherwise, if you hand me a story, I'm guessing that you're okay with it being shared on our website. And our goal is to create a digital wall of stories from the family court system. So I know how therapeutic it was for me to write my books and to share my stories. I encourage you, we're trying to keep them at a reasonable level. I know it's hard to sum everything up, but do your best. And, the therapy in purging that, in putting it down in writing and looking at it could be a powerful healing tool. If you don't feel that for yourself, make sure you talk to your therapist, and make sure your therapist supports you doing this, because it's yes. Okay, so let's get into the questions. I kind of took up a lot of time doing that, but I think it's so important. So I took a photo of all of our questions for today. And number one, how did you learn to love and trust again after being with a narcissist? Learning to trust your gut. Craig Malkin is amazing. And first of all, my story is different. I met Glenn before things got really, really bad in my custody battle. So he slipped in right at the right time because, I had no clue that it would turn into what I call a Category 5 divorce hurricane. And so, but I do a lot of work on this. And couple of resources. Dr. Elizabeth Cohen, she runs a program called Afterglow. She is amazing, and her energy, and and she gets it. She understands narcissistic abuse. Follow her. She has great resources for this. But one of the things Dr. Craig Malkin shares is using borrowed judgment, because let's admit it, when you've been through this type of situation, it makes you, doubt yourself, doubt your own judgment. How did there's a lot of survivor's shame that I hear from people. And so Dr. Malkin says, especially when you are new in a relationship, or you're starting to develop feelings for someone and you're giddy, and use borrowed judgment, where if you have a trusted friend, family member, don't hold back telling them everything. I know for myself, when I was first with the narcissist, I shared everything with people in the beginning because it was so amazing. It was love bombing, I know now, So when those little red flags started creeping in, or yellow flags or orange flags, I felt crazy. Like, how can I tell them he just did this when they think he's Prince Charming and they're so happy for me and my family is so proud of me? So I started sweeping those little things under the rug. And, in the beginning, the good outweighed the bad. And the optimist in me, I want to see the best in people. So I would overlook some of those things, or I would say, you know, all I need to do is love him more. People don't understand him. He's never had someone really love him, and all of that stuff that we tell ourselves. And, so in the beginning, when the good outweighs the bad, I found myself not sharing with people the negative things. So I encourage you, if you have somebody that you trust who has a really good judgment and, intuition on people, share every detail with them, but then be willing to listen. And that's a big point in this. Because over time, as we know, the bad starts to creep up, and pretty soon the bad outweighs the good, and you wake up and don't even know what happened to my life. So, just really pay attention to your gut. One of the things I share, when I met my ex-husband, I told my therapist I'm not attracted to him. There's just something about it that, I physically, I don't, maybe repulsive. I just could not imagine being intimate with him. And my therapist said, well, you've never known healthy before. You've come from dysfunction. And so your body and your mind is not accustomed to this. And so you kind of maybe just have to push yourself out of your comfort zone. I've sent her my book because that's advice it got me two amazing daughters. And for that, I am forever grateful. And I would do it all over again to have my daughters. So I'll leave it at that. But it's a topic. Follow Dr. Elizabeth Cohen's work. She has an Instagram, a website. She's fantastic. So, number 2, I am dealing with someone who loves the courtroom and files over every little thing. Do the judges care? It's one of the things I refer to as the family court grace period, that every judge has a different bandwidth for what they're willing to tolerate. And for some judges, it's the first year. For other judges, their grace period goes out about 2 years, to where if the narcissist is constantly filing, if you are constantly in court, the judge is going, well, it'll settle down after the grace period. It doesn't. But it's different for every judge, and it is such a personal thing to us. But what we have to remember, and I know this from sitting in the courtroom, they see a revolving door of people who are at their worst all day, every day. They look at these as case numbers. So they don't really personalize it the way we do. And they may not even pay attention to how many times you've been in. I have seen attorneys who will point out, Mr. So-and-so or Miss So-and-so has filed 18 motions in the past 12 months. This has become a game for her, which then kind of gives the court insight that, why we are where we are, that this is an avenue of abuse, a platform for them to continue exerting control. So, that's one of the things that I see happen a lot. But like with anything, I like to remind everybody I don't have all the answers. I can share my experience, what I see in the courtroom from acting as an advocate, but if you have input to add to any of these questions, please do write them in the comments. I love how many people are over there connecting and sharing. Let's see. I work full time and I can't afford an attorney. How did you go up against the narcissist in court when you were in the same situation? Whew, I wish I had, here's the perfect equation. Every day, it was I did my best at the end of the night. My aunt had given me, she said, when you get in the shower at night, one of the things she used to do as a social worker was just picture it all running down the drain and some type of exercise to where you can try to do your best to let it go at the end of the day so that when you wake up the next day, it's almost like I hate dishes in my sink when I go to bed at night because you wake up the next morning and you start the day feeling overwhelmed or, oh my gosh, I have things to do. So do your best to, for one, I compartmentalized a lot of things. Nope, today's not my day to focus on my court battle because if you're running in a constant state of overwhelm, those are the times where I can look back and see, I barely survived this some weeks. And I was very fortunate that I found a job that allowed me to work from home. I got my foot in the door with a PR and marketing agency. And Sarah, your daily baptism, I love that. I was very, very lucky because when I started out, I had $178 to my name. I'll never forget that number because it just felt so scary. I had no job, and then we had ended up in the women's shelter. And I remember when my ex-husband had to give me money, he would send it through a wire. I had to go to the grocery store and ask them for it. I forget what it's called, like a money order or something like that, that I would have to, he would do it just to have me at his mercy and embarrass me. So he would send me $25 and it was just such a horrible time. So I feel you on this. And I lived on coffee a lot during that time period. I did my best to, when the girls went to bed, luckily they were little, so 8 o'clock was bedtime. 8 o'clock till whenever I finished, I did either my work or I did my court stuff. And, I kept my bedroom closed off because it was literally stacks and stacks of paperwork all over the place. Post-its, tabs, calendars. It was MoneyGram. Thank you. I don't, if you, Megan asked if I have Dr. Elizabeth Cohen's Instagram. No, but if you look her up, her website on the internet, I'm guessing it has her social media links, and she just wrote a book and it's amazing. I got to read it before it went to the publisher. So I love her. But yeah, we do our best and it's not easy. It was one of the most difficult times of my entire life, but I still maintain to this day that I am my daughter's best voice and best advocate in the court system. I will say I was more stressed in the last leg when we terminated parental rights to put my case in the hands of an attorney. I don't know if I'm a control freak. I don't know what it is, but I had done it by myself for so long. To put trust in another human to take this to the end was more stressful than me representing myself. That sounds crazy it's broken on her website. I will try to share something from Dr. Cohen's. I'll go find one of her relevant posts today on Instagram and I'll share it in a story so you can, yeah, you can connect with her. She's fantastic. Okay. Next question. You've mentioned huge debts that the narcissist incurred during your marriage. How was that resolved? Um, Huge debt, $1.6 million, mainly behind my back. Refinanced our house, took out business loans that I did not know about. Um, it's just, and I still to this day can't wrap my mind around that type of money. And, you know, here's the crazy part. So, yesterday, Glenn and I had to meet with an accountant financial person. Money is one of my biggest PTSD triggers. It completely derailed me for an entire day. Um, she was talking about budgeting and these things, and I literally felt like I needed medicine. And it was, my ex-husband used money to control me, my allowance during our marriage, all of these things. And it threw me. I will tell you, I'm still not full. I woke up this morning and I felt like, oh my gosh, when you've had a really, really deep therapy session and you feel like an emotional hangover the next day, that's how I still feel today. Money is my biggest trigger. And it's why Glenn and I have always kept our money separate. 11 years together and we don't have a joint checking account. How did it get resolved, though, was the question. We had to file bankruptcy at the end of our marriage. Kind of the big, one of the big end of the end of our marriage was finding out about that debt. He had used his younger brother who was in college, his credit, and racked up $100,000. He did really horrible things to a lot of people. And he wasn't remorseful. He was worried about himself because the IRS came in and shut him down. And so our entire world, I call it my fake fancy life, imploded. Like everything that I knew of our existence was fake. And so that's how I ended up at rock bottom, and have rebuilt my life, and I work really, really hard. And I'm thankful that my work, my what I do every day is also my heart project. And so when I can jump in an RV and travel across the country and raise awareness for all of your kids who are still not safe, I can't imagine doing anything different. And one of the things I said to my family at dinner the other night was, how do by all accounts, we could go forward and have a happily ever after. And in a lot of ways we do. I'm incredibly grateful. But how do you go forward and unsee the things that you've seen? How do you unhear the stories that you've heard or unsee the children's faces that you get to meet through this journey? I can't. And that's why it would have been easy to close this chapter and move forward. But I'm here and I will be the voice that you are not allowed to have. So thank you all for joining me today. Let's see. I'm looking at some of the comments. People are talking about supplements. I love it. Dr. Elizabeth Cohen, PhD on Instagram. There's a hashtag in her Insta name. Perfect. Thank you, Jenny. Again, please, 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 please get ready to change your profile stuff. We are doing November Family Court Awareness Month. Reach out to your DV agencies. If you are on my route, come meet me, come meet my family. And let's make November something that will be a forever November spotlight on the family court system. So thanks everyone. Again, the website is familycourtawarenessmonth.com. Come check us out. Bye.